The internet exploded the moment these viral reports started circulating, and suddenly two of the biggest names in music were pulled into a storm. No one was prepared for, because fans are shocked, not just by who is involved, but by how serious the claims sound. According to what is being pushed online, rumors are flying that a supposed HIV report is being discussed in connection with Justin Bieber. And what really sent people into panic mode is the claim that 50 Cent is somehow being portrayed as expecting answers or even a response tied to these allegations. Now, let's be clear, none of this is confirmed, but the way these reports are framed makes it feel explosive, and that is exactly why emotions ran high across social media. Fans are shocked by the idea that such a sensitive topic would even be mentioned in a celebrity rumor cycle. Timelines filled with speculation. Reaction channels jumped in immediately, and suddenly everyone was asking the same question: why would anyone connect an HIV report to Justin Bieber, and why would 50 Cent be dragged into that narrative in the first place? Some viral posts claim that unnamed insiders are whispering about medical documents, while others suggest that this is a twisted attempt to provoke a reaction from 50 Cent, who is known for not holding back. When controversy hits the internet, the drama deepened when fans began debating whether this was a calculated move to force public statements or simply another reckless rumor designed to go viral overnight. Families of fans were left divided, some demanding silence and responsibility, while others insisted that the truth must be addressed even if the claims are false. The tension grew as people speculated about private conversations, alleged confrontations, and what kind of pressure this could put on Justin Bieber behind closed doors. Meanwhile, supporters of both stars accused bloggers of crossing every line imaginable by turning a serious illness into click-driven drama. And yet the story kept spreading faster than anyone could shut it down, because once words like HIV report enter the conversation, panic replaces logic and perception starts to feel like reality. So before anyone jumps to conclusions, it is important to understand this is not about what actually happened. It is about what these viral allegations are claiming, and why the internet is reacting as if a bomb has already gone off. Because the moment a rumor reaches this level, the damage is no longer just about truth. It is about impact. And right now, the impact is massive. If noise did not start quietly, it arrived like a sudden rush of heat across social media, where one post led to another, and before anyone could slow it down, the story had already taken on a life of its own. People scrolling late at night suddenly stopped when they saw familiar names tied to something far more serious than a chart battle or a petty feud. According to multiple viral reports floating around the internet, the controversy was not about music at all, but about alleged private health discussions being hinted at in gossip circles and reaction videos. The reports did not claim confirmation, yet they spoke with enough confidence to scare fans and spark endless debate. And at the center of it all, Justin Bieber was being discussed in a way that made many people uncomfortable, because the word HIV began appearing next to his name in ways that felt intentional and provocative. What shocked people even more was the repeated mention of 50 Cent as someone who was supposedly being positioned as expecting answers or reactions connected to these rumors. Fans were stunned because the framing felt aggressive and calculated, as if the goal was not clarity but chaos. Emotions ran high almost instantly as comment sections filled with anger, concern, disbelief, and accusations that bloggers had crossed a line. Some fans said this was the darkest form of clout chasing they had ever seen, while others questioned why no one was stepping in to shut the narrative down completely. The tension grew as reaction channels replayed the same claims over and over, each time adding dramatic pauses and ominous music, making the rumors feel heavier. With every repeat, people began asking where these stories even came from and why now. Some online voices claimed unnamed insiders were leaking whispers about medical discussions, while others insisted it was all fabricated to provoke a response from 50 Cent. who has a long history of reacting loudly to controversy, fans argued that dragging a serious illness into celebrity drama was reckless and dangerous, especially when no facts were being presented. And yet the story kept spreading because shock travels faster than truth, and once fear enters the conversation, logic starts to disappear for many supporters of Justin Bieber. This felt like an attack on his privacy and humanity. They reminded others of his past struggles with health anxiety and public pressure, and questioned what kind of world turns medical rumors into entertainment. Meanwhile, some observers claimed that the inclusion of 50 Cent was not random, suggesting that the narrative was being framed in a way that implied confrontation, expectation, or judgment. Even though no direct statements existed, this framing alone was enough to divide audiences, because people began projecting their own assumptions onto the situation. Some imagined heated phone calls, others imagined behind the scenes arguments that may not have happened at all. And this is where the drama truly escalated, because once imagination fills the gaps, rumors become stories, and stories become perceived reality. Fans were left divided, with some demanding accountability from bloggers and platforms, while others pushed for transparency even if the claims were untrue. Family members of fans argued online about whether silence meant guilt or wisdom, and every hour without an official response added another layer of tension. Some claimed that legal teams were already involved, others claimed that silence was a strategic move to avoid giving the rumors oxygen. The speculation grew louder as people dug through old interviews, past lyrics, and unrelated moments, trying to connect dots that may not have existed. The emotional weight of the word HIV changed the tone of the entire conversation, because it's not just gossip. It is a deeply personal and stigmatized topic, and many felt that its casual use in rumors was harmful, regardless of intent. Supporters of both Justin Bieber and 50 Cent began calling out the media ecosystem that rewards shock over sensitivity, while critics argued that once you are a public figure, nothing is off limits. This clash of perspectives turned timelines into battlefields where empathy and outrage collided. The pressure mounted as fans wondered how this could affect careers, reputations, and mental health, especially in an era where viral narratives can outpace truth. Within minutes, some claimed that this controversy revealed how fragile celebrity image really is, when anyone with a platform can suggest anything and watch it explode. Others pointed out that 50 Cent has often been portrayed as someone who thrives on controversy, making it easier for storytellers to insert his name into dramatic setups, even if he had nothing to do with the claims. The more people talked, the more the story evolved, shifting slightly with each retelling until it barely resembled its original form. What remained consistent was the shock and discomfort felt by those watching from the outside. Many asked whether there should be ethical boundaries in entertainment commentary, especially when discussing health-related rumors and personal lives, yet the views kept climbing and the shares kept coming, proving once again that outrage is a powerful engine in digital culture. By the time the discussion reached mainstream awareness, it was no longer about a single rumor, but about the culture that allowed such a rumor to thrive unchecked. People questioned whether this would push Justin Bieber to address the claims publicly, or whether ignoring it would be the safer choice. Others speculated about whether 50 Cent would eventually respond simply because his name was being dragged into the narrative as someone expecting something from a situation that may not even exist. The lack of clarity became the story itself, and that uncertainty kept audiences hooked, because unresolved tension always does. As the hours passed, the conversation shifted from shock to fear to anger and finally to exhaustion. Yet no clear answers emerged, only louder opinions and deeper divisions. The drama continued to simmer, not because facts were revealed, but because perception had already done its work. And once perception takes hold, it becomes almost impossible to undo, especially when millions are watching, waiting, and wondering what happens next. The conversation grew louder. The shape of the narrative began to change in ways that few people expected, because once the initial shock wore off, a different kind of tension settled in one driven by interpretation rather than information. People were no longer just reacting to what was being said, they were reacting to how it was being said and who was being framed as the central figures in this storm. According to the viral chatter spreading across blogs and commentary channels, the focus subtly shifted toward the idea of expectation, that someone was waiting for someone else to speak, and that framing alone was enough to ignite another wave of speculation. Fans started asking why 50 Cent was being portrayed in these reports as someone anticipating answers or clarity when no public exchange had ever taken place. Some felt the framing was deliberate, a way to imply authority, judgment, or confrontation without ever showing evidence. Emotions ran high again as supporters argued over intent, with one side saying this was nothing more than exaggerated storytelling, while the other side claimed it was an attempt to provoke a reaction by attaching pressure to silence. The louder the theory became, the more personal it felt, especially for fans who saw Justin Bieber as someone who had already endured intense scrutiny over his health and mental well-being. In past years, the idea that a sensitive topic like HIV could be casually placed into a rumor cycle felt cruel to many and irresponsible to others, yet the algorithms did not care because engagement kept rising. Reaction videos dissected tone, facial expressions from old interviews, and even pauses in unrelated clips, trying to read meaning into moments that had nothing to do with the current allegations. This endless loop of analysis made the situation feel heavier than it actually was, because repetition creates belief even when facts are missing. People began quoting anonymous sources who quoted other anonymous sources, creating a chain of speculation that looked convincing on the surface but collapsed under scrutiny. Still, for many viewers, the emotional weight mattered more than verification. They felt something was off, and that feeling alone was enough to keep them invested. Some claimed that the inclusion of 50 Cent was a strategic choice because of his reputation as someone who rarely stays silent when controversy touches his name. Others argued the opposite, saying his past reactions made him an easy character to insert into dramatic narratives. Whether he was involved or not, fans debated whether silence was a sign of restraint, maturity, or preparation for a bigger response, and every theory seemed plausible because nothing was being confirmed or denied. Meanwhile, concern grew over how such rumors could affect real lives behind the screens. Families of fans argued about boundaries and responsibility, asking whether entertainment should ever cross into medical speculation, even hypothetically. Some viewers said they felt uncomfortable watching the drama unfold, while others admitted they could not look away because the suspense was addictive. The story began to attract attention from people who were not even fans of either artist, proving how viral allegations can expand beyond their original audience once curiosity takes over. New voices entered the conversation, adding their own interpretations. Some said this was a textbook example of how modern gossip works, where suggestion replaces substance and implication replaces proof. Others insisted that rumors do not appear from nowhere, and that something must have triggered the discussion, even if it was being exaggerated. This clash of logic and emotion kept timelines buzzing as creators raced to put out their own takes before the narrative moved on. The pressure mounted as fans imagined possible outcomes. Would there be a statement? Would there be legal action? Would there be a sudden shift in the story? That exposed it all as fiction. The uncertainty itself became entertainment, because unresolved drama always keeps people hooked. Some claim that Justin Bieber was being unfairly targeted because of his vulnerability and past openness about personal struggles, while others argued that being a public figure means accepting scrutiny even when it feels invasive. This debate revealed a deeper divide about celebrity culture and the ethics of commentary in an age where views translate directly into income. The more people talked, the more distorted the story became, because each retelling added a layer of interpretation, tone, and emotion that shifted the original meaning slightly until it barely resembled where it started. Fans noticed that even headlines were changing from cautious language to more suggestive phrasing designed to trigger fear and outrage. This evolution alarmed many who felt that the line between reporting and fabrication was being erased right in front of them. Yet, despite the concern, the audience kept growing, proving how difficult it is to resist a narrative that mixes famous names, sensitive topics, and implied conflict. Some supporters attempted to slow things down by reminding others that no facts had been presented. And that speculation can cause real harm, but their voices were often drowned out by louder, more dramatic takes. The silence from those involved continued to act like gasoline on the fire, because people filled that silence with their own assumptions. Some imagined tense conversations happening privately. Others imagined strategic planning behind the scenes, none of which could be verified, but all of which felt real to the audience experiencing the story in real time. The emotional roller coaster left many exhausted yet still engaged, because drama without resolution creates a strange sense of anticipation. As hours turned into days, the question shifted from what is being claimed to what will happen next, and that question alone was enough to keep millions watching, waiting and debating as the controversy continued to evolve without a single confirmed detail, but with endless perceived meaning attached to every moment of quiaff longer. The silence stretched, the more the atmosphere around the story began to feel suffocating, because what started as shocking chatter slowly turned into a psychological tug-of-war between belief and doubt. People were no longer asking whether the claims were real. They were asking what the claims were doing to everyone watching from the outside. Some fans admitted that even though they knew nothing had been confirmed, the constant repetition of words like HIV report and expectation had planted unease in their minds. And that was exactly what disturbed them the most. The idea that suggestion alone could create anxiety without a single piece of evidence. Emotions ran high as people reflected on how quickly public opinion can be shaped not by facts but by framing the way commentary. Channels described the situation made it feel like a ticking clock, as if something was about to explode even though nothing concrete existed. This sense of anticipation pushed more viewers to tune in, creating a cycle where demand for updates forced creators to stretch the narrative further and further. Some began inventing hypothetical scenarios, discussing how a confrontation might look or what kind of response would satisfy the public. These imagined scenes were delivered with dramatic pauses and emotional language, making them feel vivid and believable, even though they were entirely speculative. Fans watching late at night described feeling anxious, angry, or confused, unsure why a rumor they knew might be fake still affected them so deeply. The involvement of 50 Cent in the narrative continued to be debated, with some arguing that his public persona made him an easy symbol for expectation and confrontation. Others felt it was unfair to project assumptions onto someone simply because of their past behavior. The idea that he was waiting for something from Justin Bieber became a recurring theme, even though no direct communication had ever been shown. This repetition slowly transformed a suggestion into an assumed dynamic in the minds of viewers. Meanwhile, supporters of Justin Bieber worried about the emotional toll of being discussed in connection with such a serious topic. They pointed out that even hypothetical health rumors can damage mental health, reputation, and trust, and questioned whether entertainment value justified that cost. The family of fans was left divided, not just over the truth of the claims, but over the morality of consuming such content at all. Some said watching and sharing made them complicit, while others argued that curiosity is human and unavoidable. This internal conflict played out across social media as people publicly criticized the rumors while privately continuing to follow every update. The drama took on a meta quality, where the story was no longer just about the alleged claims, but about the reaction to the claims and the reaction to the reaction. Layers of commentary stacked on top of each other until the original rumor was buried beneath opinions, debates, and emotional responses. Some creators began framing the situation as a lesson about media manipulation, suggesting that the controversy itself was proof of how easily audiences can be guided toward outrage with carefully chosen words and timing. This perspective resonated with some viewers who started questioning why they felt so invested in something. Unverified, yet even this self-awareness did not stop the engagement because analyzing the manipulation became another form of entertainment. The lack of any official response continued to dominate discussion threads, with some interpreting it as dignity and restraint while others saw it as avoidance. The same silence meant different things to different people, highlighting how subjective interpretation becomes when information is scarce. Fans speculated about possible private stress meetings, family conversations, and emotional breakdowns, all imagined scenes that added depth to the drama without adding truth. This imaginative participation made the audience feel involved, as if they were insiders witnessing a slow-burning crisis unfold. In real time, some viewers admitted that the uncertainty was more gripping than confirmation would have been, because mystery allows endless possibilities and endless content. As time passed, concern grew about the long-term impact of such rumors. On public discourse, people asked whether repeated exposure to sensationalized fake news dulls empathy and normalizes the exploitation of sensitive issues. Others argued that outrage cycles burn out quickly and that this controversy would be forgotten as soon as the next shocking headline appeared, yet in the moment it felt consuming, dominating feeds, conversations, and even offline discussions. Among friends, the tension between empathy and entertainment remained unresolved as viewers oscillated between condemning the rumors and being drawn deeper into them. The narrative continued to evolve, subtly shifting focus from the alleged report itself to the broader question of accountability. Who is responsible when a story like this spirals? Is it the creator, the platform, the audience, or all of them combined? This question lingered without answer, mirroring the unresolved nature of the controversy itself and keeping the emotional momentum alive, because without closure, the drama had nowhere to go but forward, carried by speculation, perception, and the collective imagination of millions watching and waiting. As the controversy continued to stretch on without resolution, the emotional temperature around it began to shift once again. What was once pure shock slowly turned into fatigue, mixed with suspicion, because people started asking harder questions about motives rather than meanings. Many fans began to wonder, who actually benefits when such a sensitive topic is repeatedly tied to famous names without proof? Some argued that the story had crossed from reckless gossip into something more calculated, where outrage itself had become the product. Emotions ran high as viewers reflected on how easily a narrative can be manufactured simply by repeating the same suggestion across multiple platforms. The alleged HIV angle, even when framed as unconfirmed, carried enough weight to linger in people's minds, and that lingering effect became the real damage. Fans admitted that even after telling themselves it was fake, the association still felt uncomfortable and unfair. This realization sparked another wave of debate about responsibility, not just for creators, but for audiences who reward sensationalism with clicks and shares. The silence from the people being discussed remained a central focus, and opinions around that silence became more polarized. Some saw it as a clear refusal to engage with nonsense, a boundary being set in an industry that often demands constant explanation. Others interpreted the quiet as pressure building behind the scenes, imagining legal conversations, family discussions, and emotional strain that no one could see. The lack of clarity allowed every interpretation to feel possible, and that uncertainty kept the story alive longer than any confirmed detail ever could. Supporters of Justin Bieber emphasized that speculation about health, even hypothetically, can have real consequences, affecting how a person is perceived long after the rumor fades. They pointed out that public figures are still human, and repeated exposure to invasive narratives can deepen anxiety and distrust at the same time. Discussions around 50 Cent's presence in the narrative continued to evolve. Some viewers now questioned whether his name had simply been used as a dramatic device, a familiar symbol of confrontation meant to heighten tension without substance. Others insisted that his reputation made him an unavoidable reference point, Whenever controversy and expectation were being implied, this disagreement revealed how much of the story existed only in perception, shaped by past images rather than present facts. As days passed, the intensity of the outrage began to cool. But the questions remained. People started reflecting on their own reactions, asking why they felt so invested in something they knew was unverified. Some admitted that the drama offered a distraction, while others recognized a pattern where repeated exposure slowly normalizes extreme claims. This self-reflection led to conversations about the broader media environment, where speed often replaces accuracy and emotion replaces verification. Fans were left divided not only over the story itself, but over how they felt about consuming it. Some expressed guilt for engaging at all, while others defended their curiosity. As a natural response to uncertainty, the controversy became a mirror, reflecting how modern audiences interact with information in an era where viral momentum can outweigh truth, even as engagement slowly tapered off. The impact of the narrative lingered, because once an idea enters public consciousness, it rarely disappears completely. The unresolved nature of the situation meant there was no clear ending, only a gradual fading of attention as new stories emerged to compete for focus. Yet for those involved and for fans who felt emotionally connected, the memory of the allegations remained. The family of fans was left divided in a quieter way now, not through loud arguments, but through lingering discomfort and unanswered questions. Some hoped that the situation would lead to greater awareness about ethical boundaries in entertainment commentary, while others believed nothing would change because outrage cycles are too profitable. What remained undeniable was the lesson embedded in the controversy. That suggestion can be as powerful as accusation, that repetition can feel like confirmation, and that silence can be interpreted in countless ways depending on who is watching. The story did not end with proof or denial, but with a slow realization that perception had already done its work in the end. This was never just about the claims being circulated. It was about how quickly narratives can be built, how deeply they can affect people, and how difficult it is to pull them apart once they take hold. As attention moved on and timelines refreshed, the echoes of the controversy served as a reminder of how fragile truth can feel in a space driven by emotion, speed, and the constant hunger for the next dramatic headline. Now that you have seen how this controversy unfolded and how viral allegations alone were enough to shake the internet, the biggest question is, what do you think about the way stories like this are created and consumed? You watched how unconfirmed reports turned into heated debates, how emotions ran high, and how silence itself became part of the drama. This is where your voice matters. If you believe that entertainment commentary should have boundaries, or if you think public figures should respond even to fake narratives, this is your chance to speak up. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell everyone how you see this situation. Do you think these viral reports went too far? Or is this just how the internet works now? Were fans right to feel shocked and divided? Or did curiosity push the story further than it deserved? If you felt conflicted while watching this story unfold, you are not alone in sharing your perspective. Help shape the conversation. If you want more deep dives into trending controversies, viral allegations, and the way celebrity narratives are built online, make sure you like this video because it tells the algorithm you want more content like this. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next breakdown, especially when the internet explodes with drama before the facts are clear, and turn on notifications so you are always part of the conversation from the very beginning. Most importantly, keep the discussion respectful, because behind every headline are real people and real consequences. Scroll down, leave your comment, and let us know whether you think stories like this should be challenged, ignored, or openly discussed. Your opinion matters. And this community grows stronger when everyone shares their perspective instead of just watching in silence.